How's it going, everyone? My name is Ari from One of a Kind Bulldogs. I wanted to talk in this video today about health insurance, vet expenses. I'm sure everybody's noticed since COVID, things have kind of gotten severely, actually, not kind of, severely abnormal with the vets. This has been a trickle effect. Vet expenses have gone up like crazy, which has equaled health insurance going up like crazy. Now, I urge health insurance now more than ever. Pre COVID, there was still a lot of affordable vets out there. Unfortunately, there aren't many affordable vets out there anymore. I can personally tell you procedures that I used to spend $200-300 for just 4 years ago, 3 years ago, are now easily costing $2,000-3,000 now. And this is a chain reaction. A lot of my customers have said their insurance premiums have gone up a lot in the past couple of years. There are some insurance companies that are still doing pretty low rates. Insurance is going to be based on where you live, your breed, the vet costs around you. Demographics has a huge play in this. I remember I had a customer who got a dog from a litter in Mission Viejo, which is a pretty expensive area to live, and they were quoted on their insurance plan that they tried to get around $150 a month. I had another customer with a dog from the exact same litter get quoted from the exact same company, only $35 a month. That is the difference between vet expenses in Orange County, California, and some podunk town in Texas. So you're going to want to factor that in. There are some insurance companies that are notorious for not paying out claims. So research those. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you have insurance. If they don't come through when you need them to, then it was just a waste of money for years. So research health insurance companies. I personally do like Trupanion and Nationwide a lot, but their rates have gone up quite a bit. I've had a lot of customers have great experiences with Healthy Paws and ASPCA insurance. Those are two companies in specific where I've noticed a lot of customers have said they have not had increased rates, or their increases have been very minimal. I do know Nationwide and Trupanion are pretty big in these big cities, so if they're giving out a lot more insurance claims, their rates will go up a little bit more. Back in the day, I used to tell customers just put a little money aside if you don't want to do insurance. Now, go ahead and put $100 aside, and all of a sudden you get hit with a big vet bill, and it's going to be $10,000. So there's definitely a lot of benefits to health insurance. And then let's also talk about why vet expenses are going up so much. I know people want to say, "Oh, everything went up due to COVID," but let's be realistic. A surgical procedure has slight increases. Yes, anesthesia went up. Yes, maybe the labor went up a bit. But there's really not a justification for seeing things go up 10 times more. We had a customer during a Memorial Day weekend, not this year, I think the prior year. Their dog got pneumonia. They ended up going to the emergency room on a Sunday. They were charged $5,000 a day for treatment. This is nothing short of being taken advantage of. That's a fact. There's no reason that treatment should have cost $5,000 a day unless you were desperate and you had no choice and you had to give them what they wanted. This is by definition price gouging. I don't know how they get away with it, but they do. In reality, a dog getting treatment for pneumonia, its most expensive cost was probably an x-ray. From there, it's just putting the dog on fluids, nebulizer, doing medicine. The dog went home 48 hours later and a $10,000 bill. So these are scenarios that you can be in a position where you have to put your dog down or your dog dies simply because you can't afford to take a loan out for $10,000 to get your dog help. It's unfair, but it is the reality of the situation we're in. So I do tell people, try to plan for these things. So the biggest factor in vet prices going up, something people are not noticing, is it's a corporate takeover of vet facilities. This has been happening pre-COVID, but it's definitely accelerated the process. I'll talk about first company Mars. The Yes, the candy company, I think it would be too. But yeah, they own a lot of dog food companies. They are now one of the biggest owners of vet practices. Every single Banfield you walk into, every single VCA, and you all know what VCAs are. Those are the vets that are charging you $5,000 to $10,000 a day for treatments that should cost $300, $400, $500, maybe $1,500. So they own all those companies. Now they're also owning a huge chunk of all the diagnostic companies. So when you go to VCA and you're paying for some type of $300 lab, well, that $300 lab is owned by the same company that owns the VCA. So they're monopolizing the lab companies and the vet practices. And it's not just them. Pathway bought out my vet and many other vets. My new vet also just got purchased. And what they're doing is, I've seen this happen numerous times. They're buying the vet, they're doing a contract for a few years, so the vet's still there. They're the main vet, they're getting paid a salary, they're often keeping the staff. From there, what is happening is little by little prices are going up. You're not really caring too much. The price of everything is going up, right? As long as your vet's there, the person you've trusted for all these years, you're going to keep going there. Well, one day you're going to walk in and your vet's no longer there. You're going to see new vets and you're going to find out that this vet was sold years before and now is the transition of the full takeover. These takeovers are happening slowly because they know it is a little bit of a shock. Obviously, if you walk into your vet practice one day and there's all new faces and your vet is not there anymore, you might lose some sense of security with using them. So, back to the Mars Corporation. I mean, it's kind of ironic. The same company who's making some of the shittiest dog food is the same company who is now forcing you to pay high fees to get medical treatment for those dogs and also charging you high rates for all these diagnostic things, which is going in their pocket also. So these are more of a reason to get health insurance. I do believe we're in a weird situation where something is going to crumble. I will honestly tell you, on the rescue side, I'm getting way more calls than I have ever gotten to surrender dogs. And on top of that, I'm getting way less people adopting dogs and buying dogs right now. So when the cost of everything goes up, people are a little bit iffy. People want a pet, they want a companion, they don't want a financial burden. And we're now hitting that threshold now where pet ownership is starting to become a financial burden. So it wouldn't surprise me if these things don't change in the next 5 or 10 years to see pet ownership turn more into a luxury thing where you're not really going to be able to do it unless you can afford it, So, and also just finding ways to cut costs. I'll give you guys some tips. Oftentimes when you go to the vet, a lot of these prescriptions that they sell you are human grade. Huge medicines that are commonly prescribed by vets. I'll name a few: cephalexin, amoxicillin, metronidazole. A lot of these medicines you can actually purchase for significantly cheaper without getting them from your vet. There's a really good app called GoodRx. You can download this app, type in what medicine, type in how many days worth, and it'll show you all the pharmacies around you and how much it would be. And you can use the GoodRx app. It's somewhat of like a coupon app. Oftentimes, like I'll give some examples. I know usually if I was to purchase metronidazole, 500 milligram for 2 weeks, the vet would easily charge $45, $50 for that whole batch. That's $1 a pill. That's pretty outrageous. To give you an idea, that pill probably costs like 3 cents to make and wholesales for about 10 cents a pill. So there's a huge profit margin on those. Now get your vet to write you a prescription. Go pick up that same prescription at GoodRx. You're going to pay somewhere between $10 and $15. If you have a local pharmacy close, what is one stop to the pharmacy on the way to save yourself $40? And if you're getting numerous medications, this might be a significant savings. And some of these pharmacies also do carry pet products. Like I know when Apoquel became big, a lot of pharmacies carried Apoquel. Although the pricing on it was a little bit competitive, it was still something you were able to get at pharmacies, even though it was just for dogs. I personally have often purchased antibiotics masked as fish antibiotics. I know they tell you not to do that. I've never done it without the guidance of my vet, but there's been times where I know something's wrong with the dog. I know what it is. I know what the course of action would be. And I simply call my vet. I tell her what's going on, or I send a picture. And she basically says, oh, you know what? Yeah, go ahead and use this antibiotic if you have it. So then I do that. That saves me a lot. I don't advise pet owners to do this because pet owners might not know basic symptoms, and you don't know side effects of medicine. Anything I do like this is usually under the guidance of my vet. But with vets being so backed up, there's been times where I've had an upper respiratory infection and I called my vet and they're like, hey, we can't get you in until next week. And I say, well, hey, what can I do to treat it until then? And my vet will usually give me the advice on how to treat, and then I'll take the dog in for a follow-up. So, like I say, I don't advise people doing these things without guidance of their vet. But with vets being so busy right now, if you have a good relationship with your vet, they might often be willing to provide you some advice and guidance on what to do until they are able to see your dog. Also, a few things I always recommend to people who have numerous dogs to have on hand. Always have a digital thermometer. Go to Walmart, get one of those 3-second rely-on digital thermometers, and take their temperature rectally. There are times where I've seen people a little worried about their dog, but the true signs of troubleshooting weren't there, and they took their dog to the vet to get charged $1,000 to be told your dog's fine. So good troubleshooting points. I have 3 things that I like to use as a good factor of if I should be concerned. Usually one or definitely 2 of these things being marked would seek immediate vet attention. So having a digital thermometer and taking the temperature rectally. Normal dog temperature sits at a 101 to 102.5. You can give or take about a half a degree, 1 degree. But if your dog has a severely high temperature, severely low temperature, you're going to want to immediately go to the vet. When you're taking your dog's temperature rectally, make sure you're doing it proper. A lot of people just stick it in the butt. No, you don't want to take temperature on the fecal matter. Sorry, we had a quick pause there. So yeah, when you're taking temperature, you don't want to take the temperature of the fecal matter. You want to put the thermometer all the way up and you want to push it upwards towards the skin, towards the spinal cord, like tail area. That way you're getting the temperature on the skin. Next thing, the turgor test. This is checking for hydration. Dogs naturally will be hydrated with their skin and fur, so the way I pick up puppies by their neck scruff in between the shoulder blades, you're just going to grab a handful of skin, lift up, and it should slap right back. If your dog is dehydrated, it will take a while to go back. And then gums. Gum checks. Gums should always be nice and pink. If you start noticing your dog's gums get really white, I would take your dog to the vet immediately. Any of these 3 things are usually a reason to be concerned, at least enough to monitor your dog very closely and discuss with your vet the next course of action, whether you should bring your dog in or not. So, yeah, and if you're going to get that digital thermometer, write in a big black Sharpie on it for the dog so one of your kids doesn't accidentally put it in their mouth. So, in short, from all this, my biggest advice to people is before you get a dog, start researching dog insurance. I personally give all my customers a 30-day free trial of Trupanion. I tell them to activate it immediately and they have immediate coverage. And now you have 30 days to shop around. The cool part about our Trupanion breeder offers that we give, when our customers activate those, they're locked into puppy rate for the rest of the dog's life. That's a huge plus. A lot of reason why rates go up is due to the dog's age. Yes, rates can still go up due to where you live, inflation, vet expenses around you, and so forth, but at least they won't go up due to your dog's age. And that's a huge factor when your dog's hit 6-7 years old. And I've often heard customers say, oh, my $35 premium turned into a $150 premium overnight. At the end of the day, if your dog's been insured for 6-7 years and you haven't had major payouts and now your dog hits senior status, those insurance companies know that they're going to start paying out claims, and they're just trying to protect their bottom line. And as I talked about with all this corporate takeover of vets, now more than ever is a good time to start researching small, privately owned, independent vet practices and trying to take your business to them. Limit your interactions with big corporate vet practices. At the end of the day, you know how a corporation works. A corporation, its object is to increase profits and, please their shareholders. Your independent vet practice, they don't have any shareholders to please. Their bottom line is to make sure that they take care of you and your animal. So if you guys have any questions, if there's any topics you'd like to discuss or like me to discuss, feel free to comment on here. You guys have a great weekend.